Welcome back to Crunch Time Live. It's a Christmas edition this time. It's me and Mike. I think we've never been on Crunch Time together,
Yeah.
have we? First time?
Maybe a couple years ago or so.
Yeah.
But
This is
yeah,
a,
now it's
a
just me
special
and you.
pair for special occasions. How are you?
That's right. Doing well. Check out the shirt. It's my new Christmas shirt. Brudolph.
Nice.
Rudolph wearing
Love it.
drinking a brewski. How you doing?
I wish I was. I'm doing all
I
right.
dig the
I'm doing all
hair.
right. Happy. Thank you. We've been going for a mohawk thing now, so just experimenting and stuff.
Very nice. Very
Yeah.
nice.
Glad to be back.
Glad to
Let's
and
get
I'm
to it.
glad to be on the episode for the first time this year in the
Oh
semifinals.
yeah. Yeah. This is special. This is special. We can get to some player news. Ryan Tannehill is out for the season and probably postseason as well because he got ankle surgery. Jalen Hurts is iffy to play again in the regular season, and it's gonna be hard for him to get in the postseason, which is disappointing for real football and fantasy, especially for championship round.
Mhm.
Um, what do you have?
Yeah, when it comes to Jalen Hurts, obviously that's a big loss. It's always rough when a loss like that happens during the fantasy playoffs because there's nothing you can really do about it. Like obviously you could stream you could stream Gardner Minshew, but then you see that they get the matchup with the Cowboys, which Jalen Hurts is matchup proof, so that's whatever. But Gardner Minshew, you don't know if Gardner Minshew is matchup proof, even with the weapons that the Eagles are sporting out there every week. So it's a rough situation to be in, and I think it hurts the pass catchers a bit too. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and company, because every time you downgrade a quarterback, it's not good for the offense in general. And who knows? I mean, Jalen Hurts created a bunch of first downs with his legs as well. Will Gardner Minshew be able to do that? I mean, he's not the same type of runner that Jalen Hurts was, not even close.
Yeah,
So, I mean, if there's a 3rd and 3 situation where Jalen Hurts would, just take the snap, look around, and rush for 4 yards for the first down, and that's not an option anymore, there could be more punting situations for the Eagles as well.
yeah, yeah. This is disappointing, but we'll see how that plays out. Gardner Minshew was special a couple years ago. We'll see if he has some of that Minshew mania still in him.
Yeah.
Some players out today include also Lamar Jackson, Tyler Lockett, Jalen Hurts, as we said, Jarvis Landry, Chris Olave, Debo Samuel, Equinemius St. Brown, if you were starting him, and Hayden Hurst, Devontae Parker, and Ryan Tannehill, as we said as well.
Yeah, the biggest one I think would be Chris Olave, but then again, the weather in the Cleveland game,
You're right.
you wouldn't want to trust him anyways, I don't think. So maybe it's just kind of them saying, it's kind of fantasy players who have Olave getting a pass. So you can't be too upset about it with the weather that's supposed to be happening in that game, but also the Ryan Tannehill injury basically makes it impossible to play Traylon Burks, and I probably wouldn't start Chiggy Okonkwo either, depending on your options. Um, as oh look at that, we have our first question coming
Yeah,
in about
yeah.
Chiggy Okonkwo, but yeah, so it's those are the two biggest ones I think. But then because like Debo Samuel, he's been out for a couple weeks already, so it's not like a huge shock, but. Obviously, that doesn't help in the semifinals either. When you have even though he hasn't been as great as he's been in the past, he's still been a solid wide receiver 3 type of guy the entire season for the most part.
Yeah, yeah. Big hit. So yeah, speaking of Chigi Okonkwo, we have a question that is especially directed at me because you have some conflict of interest here. So is Okonkwo or Otten playing Mike in the semis?
Yeah, this is our home league. I was the number 1 seed. Johnny snuck in. This is my brother Johnny. Snuck in as the 6th seed. Took down the 3 seed in the first week in the quarterfinals. And now he plays against me. Tough start. I had Garrett Wilson on Thursday get me 3 points, and he had Jacksonville D get him 14. So a tough start for me, but the projections are very close. So Chiggy Okonkwo or Kate Otten. I'm gonna let you answer, Cass, because I mean Johnny said I don't have to, but if anyone else wants that answer, I'd probably go Kate Otten. But these are two options that I'm very low on to begin with.
I mean, yeah, this is last resort tight end type of stuff. But you said it without Tannehill, this is gonna be not so nice for someone like Okonkwo. And Kadon is facing Arizona, who are the softest defense against the tight end, as per usual, as it has been in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
So that's what you want for a tight end, just the opportunity to catch a touchdown. And I think On has that this week, and that's your best bet right now.
Yeah, I mean, if those are the options, I'd probably go Otten as well. But like both of these guys have the ability to put up 0 to 2 catches for 0 to
Possible,
24 yards without a touchdown.
possible.
So certainly
Or
both not ideal situations.
3 catches, 17 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Sure, 3 catches,
Also
17 yards, 2
possible.
touchdowns. I would hate that since I'm playing against Johnny this week. But if that
That's my
happens,
projection
then
for Auden.
so be it.
That's my
Please,
projection for Auden right
please
now.
stop, Cass. All right, just stop. I don't need any of this voodoo going against my team right now. All right.
Look, I'm always objective. I'll give it. I'll tell you how it is.
Fair
Just wait for
enough.
those 2 touchdowns.
That's why I love you.
All right, we have another brother asking questions. Timmy Petra, McKinnon, Sanders, Evans start too, and he says he's already starting Godwin in a different message.
So McKinnon, Evans, and Sanders start two with Chris Godwin already going. I think I'd go with McKinnon and Sanders. I think those are the safest plays here. And Mike Evans is. I mean, I guess Mike Evans is safe, quote unquote, for like a wide receiver 3, but that's all he's been with limited upside of late. It is a very good matchup, but obviously you can't sit Jerick McKinnon at this point with the way he's
Yeah,
been rolling the last 2 weeks. And Miles Sanders, he's without Gardner Minshew there. I do think they might try to lean on him a little bit more. And like
true.
we've seen down games for Miles Sanders this year. I'm not super like scared about the results from last week in terms of that affecting his output this week.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, no argument from me. Especially if you're already starting Godwin, I feel you have that Tampa Bay production in your lineup, so I don't feel the need to start Evans. So with McKinnon and Sanders in their current situations, that's the play.
Yeah.
All right, we have one from Andrew Couchet. Good morning, boys. Njoku or Waller? Waller coming back.
This one is very easy for me. I'm starting Darren Waller. He returned last week to a limited snap count, still put up 3 catches, 48 yards, I believe it was, and a touchdown. And Njoku is playing in one of the lowest totals of the last 20 years due to weather. It's supposed to be 30-mile-per-hour sustained winds with up to 60-mile-per-hour gusts. Deshaun Watson's over-under is at 155 passing yards. I don't think a single pass catcher has a receiving line above 33 yards, I believe it was. And it's not like David Njoku is some stud that you can't sit, if we're being honest. So for me, I'm fairly easily rocking with
Yeah,
Darren Waller this week.
yeah, I agree 100%. Especially not only is the weather terrible and the over unders are reflecting like super bad totals, but New Orleans is also a very tough defense for tight ends. So you add that on top, and Njoku is just a big old sit for me.
Yeah, and on the other side, Darren Waller gets the Pittsburgh Steelers, where Derek Carr could certainly pass on them without much of an issue. We hope, but that weather is supposed to be not ideal either, but certainly not Cleveland weather.
I mean, yeah. Weather everywhere right now is just bad. Even we're getting bad weather right now.
Bro, in New York City yesterday, it was 58 degrees the high. Excuse me, 48 degrees or 54 or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it dropped down to 9 degrees at night. Like I've never
Oh.
seen that big of a gap in like New York City history. I was walking yesterday, like not cold or anything, like a jacket on, nothing crazy. Like 12 seconds later, I'm just getting hailed on OD hard. And I
Damn.
pull out my umbrella, like the people crossing me on the street look at me and we're just like laughing, like what just happened in like an 8-second difference of like
Yeah,
massive hail and absolutely beautiful weather. But that's how it's been
crazy.
with this the storm that is causing all this crazy stuff to
Yeah,
happen. I mean, dude,
yeah.
the 4 lowest passing yardage totals ever are this week.
Wow. Wow, that's insane.
Yeah, it's
That is insane.
Justin Fields, Andy Dalton, I think. Who's what's his face?
You
Who's
mean your
Desmond
boy
Ritter?
Justin Fields?
Yeah, my boy Justin
Okay,
Fields.
yeah. Okay,
I'm
cool.
the number one
Just making
fan,
sure.
baby.
Yeah, making sure.
But yeah, it's supposed to be a wild week. So
Yeah.
it could be one of those weeks where it's decently low scoring, but if you have one or two of the players that pop off in the games that aren't completely shitty, then you could be, could be making your way onto the championship next week.
Alvin Kamara 6 touchdown game. Here we go.
Yeah, Tim
Christmas.
had Tim. I was talking to Tim about this the other day because Tim he had Alvin Kamara that year, but he lost in the semis, putting up a monster number. His opponent just happened to put up a monster number too. Like Tim would have beat the other two playoff opponents, but he
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah, yeah.
And then he had Alvin Kamara in his roster, and he would have dominated anyone he played against in the
Yep.
championship round. So Tim, that still haunts Tim to this day. You know, Tim holds grudges on things
Oh
like
yeah.
that, so he still
Oh yeah,
talks
he
about it.
does.
Like I should have won that year.
Yeah,
Shout
for
out to
sure.
Tim.
Also, I just had no idea what Fahrenheit mean. I had to Google what the numbers you were saying meant.
So
Uh,
32 degrees Fahrenheit is 0 degrees Celsius.
okay, good to know. Good to know,
So
friends.
yeah, there's a
Yeah,
formula divided by something plus something that I always forget that I had to learn in school when I was like 9.
yeah, no, I never learned. But anyway, we have a high of 60 today, so which is pretty low for Mexico City, I'll say.
Fahrenheit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Imagine a
I'm
low of
not speaking
60
your
degrees
language.
Celsius would be
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah. Now low of 46. But anyway, next question. It's is this a Johnny curse he's talking
Oh,
about or
this is the my inability to win the home league curse.
oh
I've lost in the playoffs for I want to say like 8 years straight. I've had the bye 2 years in a row, maybe 3 of the last 4 years, only to get bounced in the semis. Like I've put together some very, very good teams in our home league. This year I was first in the regular season, most points. And, Garrett Wilson with a terrible start for me against Jacksonville D. It's still very close in the projections. I have the Mahomes and Kelsey stack, so we'll see. But that's the curse Tim is talking about here because I still am yet to win the home league championship, and it's a talking point that needs to end this season.
Are you gonna make sure it ends the season or
That's the plan. But
okay?
there's only so much in my hands with these in fantasy football. You got to hope the team comes together and fights for me.
Right, you gotta give him the speech.
That's right.
All right, we have a full PPR start three. So just basically set one: Diggs, Evans, Williams, and Devonta Smith. I'm sitting Smith to be
Diggs,
honest.
Evans, Williams, and it is very close for me between Devontae Smith and Mike Evans.
Yeah,
Um, the matchup here with Dallas is not ideal for wide receivers.
and with a back QB, like
And
you
with
don't
a
have your
backup
normal
quarterback.
QB. Yeah,
Yeah, I and the matchup for Mike Evans is very nice against Arizona, and he was coming on a little bit last week with Tom Brady for the first time. They were actually looking like they were connecting.
not the great matchup
So
for wide receivers though. They're like negative in POA.
yeah, but I mean
Arizona is.
Byron Murphy's out, I believe, which doesn't
Mm,
help the Arizona secondary.
true.
Um, so for me, I do lean sitting Smith here. If you want to start Smith over Mike Evans, I wouldn't blame you. But both of these guys this year haven't been
Good point.
um, super high reception options. It's more yards per reception for these guys and the long touchdowns. So with Gardner Minshew at QB and the uncertainty there, I'm going to give a slight edge to Mike Evans, but I'm certainly starting Stephon Diggs and Mike Williams
For
in
sure.
this
For
matchup.
sure. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And also, yeah, yeah. I actually like Smith averages more points per game than Mike Evans this season, like very slightly. But still, I think in this situation, it's just Devonta Smith sit by a very small margin. So yeah, there you go, Jordan. Good luck with that, and happy holidays. Timothy Petropoulos, big fan. Watson, I'm assuming Christian. Mike Williams, Rashad White, start two.
Watson. Oh, Christian.
Christian, yeah,
I'm like, why is this guy comparing Deshaun Watson to Mike Williams and Rashad White? I would sit Rashad White here.
yeah, agree.
The Tampa Bay running game has been ugly. Rashad White, who is supposed to be this, strong pass catching option out of the backfield, is the early down back now. Not really sure what's going on there with Tampa Bay or why they decided that was the way they were going to go ahead with things. But I mean, Brady and Fournette do have a nice connection passing out of the backfield, so they're probably just relying on old connections there.
Yeah.
Um, with that being said, Christian Watson, I know he didn't find the end zone last week. He was close to it. If he did, I feel like people would be looking at him differently, and would be more excited about it. I know Romeo Dubs got in on the action, but Christian Watson still looked good, was still involved, and it was a game where they didn't really need to pass too much against the Rams. They were dominating it almost the entire time, so I'm not super worried for Christian Watson this week, especially in a matchup against Miami with shootout potential. One of the highest totals on the slate because the weather isn't supposed to be terrible in Miami. It's supposed to be a little cold, but a little cold in Miami is like 50 degrees, which is perfectly fine for Aaron Rodgers
Yeah.
and Green
Yeah.
Bay playing in the snow in Wisconsin. And then Mike Williams, if Mike Williams is active and healthy, there's no way I'm starting Rashad White over him at this point. He just
Agree.
provides such a higher ceiling than Rashad White does.
Yeah. I mean, and coincidentally, Rogers is this week's Brodo sleeper. So if that's anything to go by, Christian Watson is a better option. So if you're debating Christian Watson versus Rashad White, just use that sleeper prowess to turn to change your mind, I guess.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah. So there you go. So good luck, Mr. Timothy, and hopefully it works out.
Yeah, who is that
Toronto
guy? He's a
Dave says,
weirdo, that guy, Timothy.
yeah, a freak. Anyway, uh, Toronto Dave says that the temp is like minus 23 C, so like minus 9 Fahrenheit in
Oof,
Toronto. So just like
that's cold. Yeah,
luckily they don't have an NFL game.
the feel in New York City is close to that today as well. It's supposed to be around 10
Crazy.
degrees Fahrenheit with a feel around like -10. I will not
Hey,
be actually I will be leaving the house, but only very limited. I'll be going like 2 to 3 blocks away and very bundled
good,
up.
good. Yeah. Sounds smart. Yeah. Just imagine if Toronto gets like an NFL team or something, and then you have kind of like that. So
If they
another
do,
bad weather
I
city.
don't know why all these stadiums, man, they don't need to be domes, but have retractable roofs. Like if
Right.
you want to
Yeah.
play a 27-degree winter gridiron game with 8-degree winds, go for it. It's fun. It's part of football. But there's no reason why games like the Browns and Saints, where it's one of the lowest totals ever and 30-mile-per-hour winds, should decide a game in the NFL in
True.
2022. If I'm like,
Yeah.
I
You get
think
you get
that's
to choose
it's a
if you
little
want
silly.
the.
Yeah, like all these new, like the Buffalo Bills, bro. They're creating this beautiful new stadium, and they're not adding a roof. Like add a retractable roof.
Yeah.
You're in
No, that
Buffalo.
like in Buffalo. Yeah.
I know that's part of their shtick. Where the Bills, yeah, snow. Like you got the fans who go there like shirtless, diving in the snow and
Yeah.
everything. But just add a retractable roof. What are
I
you
agree.
gonna
Yeah. You just gotta buy an NFL team and make them do stuff the right way.
Yeah, when Brodo, really takes off, we're just gonna buy an
Right.
NFL team. So it's gonna be called the Brodo
Fantasies.
Internationals.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I like that one better. Michael Shizzle, Darius Layton, Cordero Patterson. That's one, I think. Daniel Jones or Gino half PPR. Another one. These
Slayton
are
for
the
me.
interesting questions. Okay.
Slayton gets Minnesota here. Shootout potential. One of the games that is in a dome, actually, so there's not going to be much of a weather concern. Slayton has been a letdown the last couple of weeks, but Minnesota is
Yeah,
an
Minnesota.
easy. It's an easy target for opposing wide receivers, especially downfield pass catchers like Darius Slayton. So I agree with. I mean, not I agree. I would go with Darius Slayton here. Of those two options, Cordell
Yep.
Patterson is in one of the also rougher weather games playing against Baltimore. They have Desmond Ritter at QB. Um, I would just have to pass on Patterson there if those are the two options. And then quarterbacking wise, I'm
Gotta be
going with
Gino,
Geno
right?
Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know Daniel Jones has the rushing upside. Geno isn't really much of a rusher, but again, it's freezing temperatures in Kansas City, but not anything too crazy wind wise, and that matters a lot more. And Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. Is could be a high scoring affair,
Right.
especially with especially with the Seahawks playoff hopes on the line here. Like if they lose, they're basically out, so they have to shock the Kansas City Chiefs if they want to still have a shot at making the playoffs. So I'm going
Right.
with Geno Smith here. I think this game has some serious shootout potential with the Mahomes and Geno going back and forth.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, he even has a better matchup and averages more points this year, and has that like, I don't want to call it narrative, but like the elimination narrative and the high scoring game. I think it just all goes right for Gino. And yeah, I agree with you. We're agreeing a lot.
I
This is rare
still
for Yoni.
Yeah, it's true. We do tend to disagree sometimes, but I still find it crazy that it's week 16 and we're like, yeah, bro, Geno in a shootout. Let's go.
Yeah,
Geno Smith.
yeah,
It's so weird to me. So weird. But that's the NFL
that's
season
fantasy.
in 2022.
Yeah. All right. We have a very interesting one coming up. So there you go, Mike. Andrew with uh four no
Ooh.
five option pick one full PPR flex. So Dobbins, Moss, Rashad White, Drake London, and Darius Slayton. And I'm very like tight between two of these guys.
I'm very tight between two of these guys too.
So for
You
me, it's
say
either like okay,
you say the first
oh,
one, I'll say the second one. See if we're matching here.
okay. So Dobbins,
And Slayton?
yeah, correct.
Yeah. So look, the thing for me is look for Zach Moss. He's likely to split work with Deion Jackson. If it was his backfield alone, I'd be very interested. But splitting work with Deion Jackson shies me away when these are the options that you could choose from. Rashad White again splitting with Fournette,
He's
and he's
bugged
more
out
of
of yeah.
the early down back at this point. Drake London has Desmond Ritter throwing to him in bad conditions, so I'm not super interested in Drake London this week. And you got Darius Slayton. The full PPR really helps him here. Again, Darius Slayton isn't a high reception guy. He's more of like a Mike Evans, where you know, if he catches the ball, you expect it to be downfield for a chunk gain or finding the end zone type of guy. But it's a shootout potential here against Minnesota. And then you got J.K. Dobbins on the other hand in a what should be a disgusting game against the Falcons. A nice rushing matchup in a
Right.
game where you'd expect them to, you know, kind of
Rush a
rely
lot.
on J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah.
But then again, he's not going to catch any passes, maybe one or two. So that doesn't help the PPR. Like the thing with PPR is when it comes to these running backs like the Jamal Williamses and company, you need them to find the end zone basically for them to work out. Like if J.K. Dobbins rushes 18 times for 110 yards, that seems great. But then if Darius Slayton goes 4 for 80, he outscored J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah.
Like, so that's the issue there when it comes to these two. I think
Mhm.
Dobbins, depending on the matchup, if you're like a huge underdog, I'd lean Slayton catching long touchdowns. Um, but I do think J.K. Dobbins, with the way he's been playing over the last couple seasons, at last couple weeks, I think he is the safer play here. If you're looking for like a safe spot in the flex, because he should get a fairly decent amount of work.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like floor versus ceiling in this case. Because yeah, you have that disgusting weather, which also provokes fumbles. But I don't want to. I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think I agree. Like it's a floor play versus ceiling play. Whether you played and got a ton of points in on Thursday, or maybe you're in a Mike situation where you played the Jacksonville. Was it the defense, the Jacksonville defense, and you got
Hmm.
Garrett Wilson giving you 3 points. So if you're more in an underdog type situation, go for the ceiling. If you just want to secure the win because they're like projected to score more or in a comfortable position, go with Dobbins and then get the floor play, right?
Yeah, I do not disagree with that, Cass.
Yeah.
I
All right.
hate
You have
this.
another one
We need to
for
find
me?
something where we disagree with each other. It's
Yeah.
week
What's going?
16
What's
for
going on?
crying out loud.
Yeah. What's going on? Andrew says he's at Tilo, and are you confident in Danny Dimes? I know you are.
Yeah, I mean, I have him as my QB 10 this week, but that's more so because I don't really like the quarterback options after the first 9. And once you hit the like Daniel Joneses, Tom Brady's, Derek Carr's, that Aaron Rodgers's, I lean Daniel Jones because he sets that decent floor with his rushing ability and the shootout potential here in Minnesota. I don't think he's going to win you your week, but I don't think he'll lose you your week either. I rank Daniel Jones ahead of Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence did rush in a touchdown, but still did not have a very good game overall because the Jets defense is just a defense to avoid at this point. So I
Yeah.
like that he sat Trevor Lawrence for Danny Dimes, and I'd feel decent. Like if I'm streaming Daniel Jones, I wouldn't be upset about it. I'd be fairly happy with that option compared to the other streaming options out there.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Good shit. Themi, morning boys. Hope you're staying warm and enjoying the holidays. I am pretty much. Full PPR, Swift or Thielen.
Ah, this is the
This one's
first.
interesting.
This is the first like really tough one I think here. The
Good
issue
problem to
with
have, though.
it is a good problem to have, but the issue with DeAndre Swift is that you never fucking know what this dude is gonna do, or how the Lions are
Yep.
gonna handle
Yep.
the situation.
Yep.
Like they're playing the Carolina Panthers this week. The Detroit Lions are.
Yeah. Yeah.
What happens if they go up by 14 points? Are they still going to be using DeAndre Swift, or are they going to decide to bring in Jamal Williams to try to, get 3-4 yard chunk gains? Are they going to bring in Justin Jackson, who actually even outsnapped Jamal Williams last week, to, keep DeAndre Swift healthy over the next couple of weeks? Because the Detroit Lions playoff hopes are very alive and well.
Yeah.
And DeAndre Swift, like we've seen him have big games, we've seen him completely shit the bed. And that's anyone who acts like they know is lying
He's
to you.
lying.
It's a
Yeah.
week to week situation that is not ideal to the fantasy manager, but that's just the way it's been all season. I have him ranked as a flex option because of the upside, but he is of course a risky flex option. But then you get Adam Thielen, who, let's be real, Adam Thielen has not been great either this
Nope.
season, and he's kind of picked it up of late. Like against New England, he went 9 for 61. Against Detroit, he went 7 for 65. And against Indy, in that crazy shootout where Kirk Cousins threw for over 400 yards, he only went 3 for 41 on 4 targets. Like the targets have not been there as much for Adam Thielen as you'd like since TJ Hawkinson returned. Against the Giants, I don't think this is a game where Kirk Cousins is going to be asked to drop back 40, 45 times. So I do think Adam Thielen has maybe like a safer floor than DeAndre Swift, because DeAndre Swift could go 11 rushes, 40 yards, and 2 receptions or something. But in full PPR, I'm going to give the slight edge here to DeAndre Swift. I just think the appeal for the ceiling is too much to pass up on for Swift if Adam Thielen is the second option that you're choosing from.
I hate to say it, but I agree. Yeah. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Thielen. Like they've both been inconsistent and unreliable this season, but Swift has had a better ceiling, and that's ultimately what you're aiming for, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and they're both in I think dome games. So
It's a good question though. It's
yeah.
not an easy one by any means.
No, this is a tough one. This and the 5 wide flex pick we had. But anyway, yeah, there you go, Themi. Let's go Swift. Hopefully we're right. We have one from Trey. Morning and happy holidays. Thank you. Full PPR start one Rashad White, Singletary, Judy. Dulcich is the tight end. Could also grab Taysom instead of Dulcich. Thanks and good luck this week. Thank you. You too.
Russell Wilson is presumed to be back, so I'm playing Jerry Jeudy. Yeah. Jerry Jeudy has really started to show a connection with Russell Wilson of late. Even last week with Brett Rippon, played a decent game. I know Courtland Sutton is likely to return, but I think Jerry Jeudy at this point has proven to be a solid wide receiver 3 option with some upside. I mean, he did have a 3 touchdown game last time he played with Russell Wilson. So I do think he's my option here against the Rams, who have not been nearly as good against the pass this year as people probably expected them to be. You agree with that, of those 3 options?
I do. Yeah. And
what about the tight end here, man?
I mean, you can't go Taysom with that weather, right?
But the thing is, Taysom, they already said Taysom is expected to have a larger package because of the weather this week. And dude, his over-under of rushing yards is up to 48, bro. 48 rushing yards. That's like a legit running back line.
Yeah.
So I'm like super conflicted with Taysom Hill at this point.
So just play him and bet the under, or you win. either way.
You win either way. It depends.
Yeah,
How much are we betting on the under?
true,
But and
true.
then you got like Greg Dulcich has been good this season, but against the Rams, I like the Rams are not an ideal matchup for opposing tight ends. 27th in points over average. He's
Hmm,
been very up or down. The
true.
Saints get who do the Saints who are they playing this week? The Cleveland Browns, right? So it's
Yeah,
that crazy
big
weather
game.
game, and the Cleveland Browns are atrocious at blocking rushing running backs. Like running backs are first in true matchup rank against the Cleveland Browns when it comes to
And
rushing.
if you treat him as a running back, that gets
If you
interesting.
treat him as a running back, if someone said a running back is going to get at least 10 rushes in this game, the size of
Yeah.
Taysom Hill, I have Taysom Hill ranked over Greg Dulcich, and I'd roll with Hill. I'd take the upside shot there. I know it's risky, I know it's scary, but I'm a uh, I'm a Taysom Hill guy this week when it comes to these secondary tight end options like Greg D.
You know what? I was out on that. Like I was out on Taysom for the weather, but now you turned me.
Damn it, Cass, we're supposed to disagree with each other more.
I mean, we disagreed with you, but you made a very compelling argument. So there you go. So Trey,
All right, respect.
go get that Taysom, and then hope for some slushy rushing.
Yeah.
And then we agreed on Judy on the first one, right?
Yep.
All right. So the international Bruttles are back in play. We have Bat Metal, 2 Hour Island. It's Allen, right?
There's no chance I'm sitting
Yeah,
Josh Allen in the semifinals, whether or
yeah,
not
yeah. No
like
shot.
Josh Allen also runs. So yeah,
Also, like some like a very important factor to take into account when you're making semifinal decisions is who would I hate the most for them to go off on my bench, and like who would I hate myself for if I sit them, right? So that like the emotional part of fantasy also plays a role because you don't want to be angry at yourself, so
yeah.
just pick the option that's gonna make you less angry.
Yeah, like you're not gonna if you lose because Josh Allen shits the bed, which I don't think is gonna happen.
Yeah,
You
I don't
can't
think it
say,
will.
"Ugh, I started Josh Allen this week." Like
Yeah,
it's Josh Allen, so I just like I'd roll with Josh Allen, play the odds that Josh Allen continues to be a star,
the process
especially
was
in a matchup
right.
against Chicago. I know the wind is going to be a factor there as well, but it's not supposed to be as bad as like the Browns game, and Chicago's defense is not good. So
True. All right, Constantine. Merry Christmas Eve. Thank you.
Yasu
Standard.
Constantine,
This is standard. Just keep in mind. Need one wide receiver, two
standard.
flex. Mike Will, Judy Watson, Dylan Fournette, Deion Jackson. So it's just basically pick one wide receiver and sit one of the others.
I would go with Mike Williams and Christian Watson for sure. And then
Judy,
Jerry
Fournette.
Judy and
Oh no,
AJ
Fournette.
Dillon.
Oh right, now it's sit two, not sit one.
AJ Dillon has been very much coming on of late.
Oh wow.
December came. You got yeah, you know
Yeah, yeah,
um
yeah.
I'm not a I'm not one of these big fans of AJ Dillon by any means. He was one of my biggest fades this year. But December has come around and they decided, you know what? Let's turn him into Derrick Henry just on a lighter workload. What I got bounced from one of my leagues last week because AJ Dillon went in against me. I just
Oh,
needed him to
that's
stay under
why.
18 points, and I was like, come on, bro. So I give AJ Dillon the edge over Fournette and Deion Jackson,
Mm,
but against Jerry Judy, the fact that it's standard is what's most difficult here for me because standard
oh
running
yeah,
backs get
standard.
such a big
Yeah,
edge because of the touchdown appeal. Like there's a higher chance that AJ Dillon, who's been the goal line back over the last several weeks, finds the end zone over Jerry Judy. And
true.
basically, in standard leagues, if you find the end zone, you're more than likely going to outscore the player who doesn't find the end zone. So I
Yeah.
definitely go Mike Will and Watson, and then it's very close between Dillon and Judy for me. But
Okay.
in standard, I think I give the slight edge to Dillon actually, just because he's the running back. But it's very very close, and I would not hate it at all if he just sticks with
Hmm.
Jerry Judy because I do think Jerry Judy probably has a little bit more upside overall.
I still want to go. Like, part of me still wants to go Fournette over Dylan. Like, I get what you're saying, but he
I
hasn't
don't yeah
had
I don't
that
blame you at
big ass
all,
output.
but
Because he has 4 touchdowns in the past 3 games, right? So
yeah
if those touchdowns stop, he's not the super top option. and Fournette
Miami's a
has
good
a similar
rushing,
workload.
a good matchup for running backs though, which is also why I lean on it a
But
little bit more.
Arizona is too.
That's true. That is true.
So that's why I'm hesitant to start Dylan just straight up. Um, if you trust the hot hand, go Dylan. But I think Fournette he has been getting more targets. I think for the past couple. Oh yeah, we don't care about targets. It's standard. Never mind. Uh, okay, so that does give Dylan slightly
Yeah, like in
better
standard, I'd
chances.
give Dylan the edge
Yeah,
over
yeah, yeah.
Fournette. PPR is
I
a
think if it
little
was
bit of a different
PPR,
story.
yeah, I think PPR I would go Fournette standard. Dylan gets the slight edge because he's just the
Yeah,
yeah, you said it. He's like Derrick Henry light, and that's the player you
yeah.
want for standard.
Like in my half PPR rankings, I have Dylan at 2 spots ahead of Fournette, so they're fairly close.
Okay, okay. Yeah, maybe in half I would have Fournette slightly ahead of Dylan, like one spot, but standard Dylan gets the edge. This is tough. I like this one. So
Yeah,
are we saying Mike Will, Watson, Dylan?
I'm going Mike,
I
Will, Watson, and then Dylan and Judy is a toss up for me. I can't
okay,
really choose between the two. It's tough. They're just I'm very conflicted between those two.
but Watson's a lock for you.
I would start Mike, Will, and Watson. Yeah, Watson's upside is just too much to pass up
Mm-hmm.
on in
Yeah,
uh in the semifinals.
makes sense. Makes sense. There you go, Constantine. So Mike Will, Christian Watson, AJ Dillon, lock it in, and let's get a dub. Isaiah Simpson, Daniel Jones, Minshew, or Purdy.
Shout out
From
to
what we
Izzy.
discussed, I'm thinking. Oh, is that Izzy? Daniel Jones. I'm thinking.
Daniel Jones. Yeah. I think he's the
I think
safest
so.
option
Yeah.
and probably has the equal upside to all three of these guys. Certainly more upside than Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is definitely a floor play. He's not a ceiling play. Like he's a game manager. There's no way he's going out there throwing for 350 yards or anything like that.
Yeah.
And he's not like
Gotta
too
believe
big
in the magic, bro.
of a rushing threat either. Yeah, the magic of Brock Purdy. And then Gardner Minshew,
Purdy.
he's a toss up. He has upside, tough matchup. He could go crazy, Minshew mania. Um,
Yeah.
but when you have Daniel Jones as an option, I'd much rather go with I think there's a decently high floor for Jones and a very similar ceiling to Minshew, if not a little bit of a higher ceiling in the matchup against Minnesota.
Yeah. Yeah. And you got to take advantage of a few no weather games, right? So Daniel Jones getting it. So yeah, I think I agree. This is not too like I'm starting Purdy out of desperation in a couple leagues because I had a lot of Hurts and Lamar Jackson, and that has not been great for me this playoffs. So yeah,
Lamar
go
Jackson.
Purdy. Yeah, bro.
That seemed very you
very
seem very
enthusiastic.
happy about
Yeah.
that. Yeah, go Purdy.
It's you got Minshew mania and the Purdy problem. Let's go.
I'd probably go
Um,
Minshew over Purdy if someone's trying to decide between those two. I'd give Minshew the slight edge there.
I'll take a note. Good to know.
Cass is like, all right, I
Um,
gotta go check
yeah,
my
yeah,
free
yeah,
agents.
yeah. Oh no, I'm 100% gonna do this after the show. Anyway, Michael Shizzle, one wide receiver and one flex. Christian Watson, Waddle, and Keenan Allen. Ooh,
Here's where I would
ooh,
sit Watson.
yeah, right, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. You gotta go Waddle and Allen.
we know Waddle has a top five, in his realm of like possibilities. So does Christian Watson that he's shown, but Waddle has earned a higher respect and target share and opportunity share in that offense. Like it's Jalen Waddle at this point. You can't really sit him.
Absolutely.
And Keenan Allen, same. I'm not sure if this is half PPRs or full PPR. Either way,
Half.
Keenan Allen's one of the safest options out there. He gets the Colts, which is in a dome as well, so you don't have to worry about the weather in that one. So sign
Yeah,
me up for Keenan Allen there. It's tough sitting Christian Watson, but I wouldn't be able to start him over Waddle or Keenan Allen this week.
yeah. I agree. Like I would like to know who's in your other wide receiver slot or your other flex spot. Whether you can like wiggle Christian Watson in there. But other than that, right now it's just those two, Waddle and Allen. I agree.
Yep.
Toronto Dave, I just want to say, bro, it's an awesome platform. I very much respect the analysis you all put out. Hey, thank you. I
Thanks,
appreciate your
Dave.
kind words.
Appreciate you. Thanks for listening
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah. Great guy. Isaiah Simpson again. Jones, Minshew, or A Rod. Now, the Burrow
Jones.
sleeper gets thrown in the mix. Jones still over A
Yeah.
Rod.
Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a game this year inside the top 9 quarterbacks. That's enough of a
Ooh,
reason to just give me
ooh.
Daniel Jones.
Okay.
Like he's been better of late. That is Aaron Rodgers, but I'm still not. I'm still not gonna start him. I prefer to go with Daniel Jones here.
Yeah, you know what? Like, they have
I've
similar
discussed
matchups
Jones a
against
lot, so I
Minnesota
don't
and
want to.
Miami.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
want
yeah.
to. Just keep repeating myself. So I'd go with
Yeah, no, I just
Jones.
I just want to compare a little bit. Like they have similar matchups in points over average, like almost right next to each other. And Jones still averages more points per game this season and rushes, which Rogers doesn't. So yeah, yeah, go Jones.
Go
Uh,
Jones.
Another standard from Constantine. I'm going McBride over Njoku. Do you recommend?
There's at this
Yes.
point, there's probably no way I'd be starting David Njoku
Yeah,
if I'm being
exactly.
honest. So I think I'd go McBride, but
Or
um,
anyone.
check out your waiver wire and let us know what other tight ends are there because Trey McBride is not a an option that I'd be very happy with Trace McSorley at
No,
quarterback at all.
definitely not.
There's a lot of tight ends I choose over Trey McBride and David Njoku this week. So check it out if you
Definitely McBride over Njoku.
and put in the comments what other tight end options are there. But at this point, I don't see how you could start Njoku. His receiving line is at like 25 or something. It's probably similar to McBride. McBride's might be lower, but I still can't trust Njoku with the way they're saying this weather is going to affect that passing game.
Yeah, his line might be lower, but he has a better shot of doing something than Njoku. So,
Yeah.
all right. Jeff Wilson, Curtis Samuel, James Cook, Chuba Hubbard, Dion Jackson, Tyler Algier, full PPR. I guess
How
pick
many we
one.
choosing, bro?
Yeah. Let me see if you got more details. Nope, no more details. Just
Assuming pick one here, right? I think
yeah.
James like in the preview prod this week, we went through each game rather than the typical setup. So I said James
Hmm.
Cook would have been my sleeper of the week. I think there's a lot of upside here for James Cook in a week where the Bills get the Bears in a not so great weather game. I think James Cook, if they take a big lead, could certainly be mixed in. Still, even if it's a closer game, could certainly be mixed in. So, but then you get guys like Tyler Algier in a game where they're
That's what I
supposed
was
to
gonna
rush a
say.
lot.
Yeah.
But then the Ravens rush defense ever since they got Roquan Smith has been elite. And they know they're gonna run. Desmond Ritter's at quarterback and the weather's bad. Like they could
True.
prepare for that. And he's gonna split work with Cordero Patterson. And you got Deion Jackson who's gonna split with Zach Moss. We don't know how that split's gonna look, but they said it's gonna be a rotation between the two. And you got Jeff Wilson, who is Jeff Wilson even going to play? He returned to practice, but Raheem Mostert has basically stolen the lead spot. Curtis Samuel has fallen out of favor over the last several weeks with Taylor Heineke, especially now with Jahan Dotson back. So this is a bunch of who's of mediocre options here. If we're being honest, I think I
Yeah.
call me crazy. I think James Cook has the most upside. I think Algier I'm not interested in Chuba Hubbard either. I think Algier
No.
and Deion Jackson have some opportunity here as well. Algier is probably the safest choice, but
Start
like
Algier.
I don't know. I think a Deontay Foreman esque last week 12 rushes, 10 rushing yards, no catches is not out of the realm of possibility for Tyler Algier this week. I think people are relying a little bit too much on his big game from last week. I think I'd go in full PPR. I'd give the slight edge to James Cook in a very risky choice, but I think the upside supersedes the safety of a guy like Tyler Algier. But it's very risky. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It is, yeah. Like Algier gets the floor because he does not like rely on receptions at all, and they were not gonna pass this game anyway. So yeah, I don't know. Like if he gets the rushing work, I think he can do nice stuff and get you, I don't know, 15 rushes for 70 yards, something like that. I don't know. Like that's what I'm envisioning from him. Like very mediocre, solid floor. But that's what you want in a week like this, I think. So I personally go Algier. I think you win James Cook.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go James Cook.
Yeah, I don't blame you, but I would start Algier and get that floor and like just a pure rushing running back in a rain game gives me some safety that I like.
Fair enough. Not gonna argue with
Yeah,
that.
I know it's full PPR and that's not ideal for full PPR, but I don't know. I like that kind of. We got a special guest, Jason Petropoulos, Slayton, Fournette, Hollywood, or Lat Murray, half PPR. Hmm. I guess it's also like pick one.
Yeah, this is pick one. I know because he's asked me like 8 times this week. This is our home league as well. Um, Jason's also in the semis. I'm playing against Johnny. Jason is in the semis against the fifth seed, who is by far the worst team to make it to the semis. I'm the number one seed, and I got Johnny, whose team is way better than the fifth seed, which was
Should have been
a
me.
little
Should have been
annoying.
me.
But Jason actually, I mean, Tim. If Tim won last week, it would have been the four Petrot brothers in the semifinals. We were all rooting for that to happen so hard, but Tim ended up losing to the team Jason's playing
Damn.
against this week. I don't think this is particularly close when it comes to like Latavius Murray. I'm not trusting, man. Like,
Mm.
I'm sorry, I'm just not trusting Latavius Murray. I know they get the Rams in a game where they may actually get a lead, but they just don't score at a high enough rate where I'm going to trust Latavius Murray. And he was banged up a little bit during practice this week. Hollywood Brown has Trace McSorley throwing to him. That has been a very rough going over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette certainly has the pass catching upside. But in a game against Arizona, how much are they going to rely on Tom Brady? It could be more of a rushing game, and maybe Leonard Fournette mixes in the rushing attack too. But Rashad White has been more of the rusher over the last several weeks. And you got Darius Slayton, who has, I think, some very big upside against Minnesota. I think Fournette is a safer play, and Slayton is the ceiling play of the two. But I'd go with either of those guys over Hollywood or Lat Murray this week.
First of all, yes, but also I would still go Slayton over Fournette. Like in half PPR, I think. Yeah,
I feel you.
yeah. Yeah, I like that honestly. And like we've talked about Slayton a lot, like dome game and good matchup and stuff. So I'm liking Slayton, but I would not blame you if you start Fournette either. Hollywood and Lat Murray, yeah, I'm not considering, but Slayton, Fournette,
It sucks that like
just
to
like
go from Kyler Murray to Colt McCoy to
yeah,
Trace McSorley. It's like even DeAndre Hopkins this week is risky business.
agreed. Um, but yeah, I'm giving slight edge to Slayton. Now we have Denver or Baltimore D.
Baltimore
Yeah,
fairly easily against Desmond Ritter. I have the option between Baltimore defense or Cleveland defense in the storm, and I'm still going with Baltimore. I just think there's too much upside there in bad weather against a rookie quarterback in Desmond Ritter
mm-hmm.
making his second
Yeah,
career start after throwing
yeah.
for what
Bad weather
75
just
yards last week or something.
favors. Bad weather
Yeah,
favors defenses a ton, and like you said, the rookie quarterback, nah, bro, like easily. So yeah,
yeah.
there you go. Isaiah Simpson, full PPR, Amari Dion Jackson, Hollywood or Gallup.
I believe this
I
is
did
pick
notice.
one as well.
Yeah, I'm sure. I've been seeing a theme where we have Cowboys players in the bus section this week. So Gallup there is not looking too hot. Dion Jackson we've talked about. Hollywood we talked about. So Amari is in the worst game possible as well. So this is a
Yeah,
very tough decision.
it is full PPR, which favors receiving options. But then again, Deion Jackson is likely the pass catcher of the two between him and Zach Moss.
Mm,
Hollywood will likely catch some passes, but like Amari Cooper's over under right now is set at 33 and a half yards
yeah,
because of the weather. He'd have to take like a screen 12, 15 yards probably to make a play. Um,
is this a
I don't know.
spot where you consider Hollywood as the option?
It is a spot where I'd consider Hollywood in full PPR just because even with Trace McSorley, I could see them trying to get Hollywood Brown
Yeah,
involved closer to the line of scrimmage. Um, you know,
and that's good for PPR.
some quick play action tosses to Marquise Brown, maybe some end arounds to get him in space. I feel like I'd give the slight edge here to Hollywood Brown, but
Yeah.
I do think this is a very tough one. But I'm giving the edge here to Hollywood.
Yeah, I was between Deion Jackson or Hollywood, but I think in general Hollywood has a better chance, and it's just like just I don't want to say in general so much, but in general a better player. So if you want to trust one of the two in your semifinals, I would want to trust Hollywood, and he has the potential to be good in PPR. So I'm liking that.
There you go.
Anyway, that said, good luck, Isaiah. Hopefully we're right. And now we go to Michael Mero,
Michael Maros.
Kittle or Waller. I'm liking
Ah,
Kittle.
nice problem to have.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know Kittle
yeah,
has
first of all,
shown. Yeah, I know Kittle has shown a floor, a scary floor, but he's also shown an elite ceiling several times this year as well, and he has been better without Debo Samuel. Debo
right,
Samuel is
and
out
he's out.
again. Yeah, this is a decent matchup here against Washington. Like Washington's not a team that I'd shy away from, even though their defense has improved drastically over the last half of the season. We know that George Kittle is a safety blanket type of guy, and he has the downfield ability as well. I mean, we saw it last week against Seattle. I just with the way George Kittle goes, it's scary. But I wouldn't be able to sit him this week for Darren Waller.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Like they're not like both of them are in pretty bad matchups for tight ends if you're looking at a POA. But when it's like that caliber of player, you don't really look at POA that much. And in general, I think Kittle without Debo has a better role than Waller. So,
Agreed.
all right. Michael also said Merry Christmas, Broto fam. Thank you.
Yeah, Merry
Merry Christmas to you
Christmas.
too. Merry Christmas, fellas. Sorry I had to end your
Yeah.
season before Christmas game, Mike.
So Izzy's a patron of ours. He won the Beat the Bros League last year. So obviously he returned as a defending champ, and he made it to the champion. He made it to the playoffs this year. Snuck in as a 6 seed. I was a 3 seed, and he beat me by like 50 points last week. So
Nice,
he knocked me out. So good luck, Izzy,
nice,
trying to
nice,
go
nice.
for back to back championships in the Beat the Bros League. Would be a nice little accomplishment to beat out the Bros and the Broto patrons 2 years in a row.
I'm in the semifinals in the Beat the Bros League. I'm in, so we'll see how that plays out. I'm ready to be champion, so we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, you
Uh,
gotta represent for us, Cass. Do your thing,
oh
kid.
yeah, of course, got you. Big Will, gentlemen, good morning, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas to you too, Will.
What up, Big Will?
We
Merry
got another one from
Christmas.
Izzy. Full PPR, Godwin, Chark, Akers, not
Godwin.
Akers.
Godwin.
Godwin, just straight up.
Yeah.
No, not considering
Oh,
Chark.
it's
No, I'm
Goodwin.
kidding.
Marquise Goodwin.
Oh, never mind.
Cass
Marquise
has to learn how
Goodwin
to
might be
read,
good
guys.
stuff.
Sorry.
My bad, my bad.
I'd go
Still a good win,
Goodwin.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Chark has upside here, but Jared Goff has just struggled so much more on the road than he has at home. He hasn't been a top 18 quarterback yet this year in a road game. Like, I know I'm talking about Jared Goff's fantasy output, but that aligns with his receivers output as well. So
Right.
I lean Goodwin here. I think there's a massive shootout potential in the KC and Seattle game, so I'm giving him the edge.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And I'm not playing
I've
Akers.
also. Yeah. No.
Forget that
Absolutely
guy.
not. I was a fan of Chark there for a minute, but I don't think I can start him over Goodwin this week.
Yeah.
Watson over Waddle. Get the fuck out of here. Uh,
Who's
you
that
don't start
guy?
Waddle in the semifinal. Yeah. Who knows? Some big shot lawyer. Big Will. Half PPR. Pick one of the flex. Cam Akers. Nope. Drake London, George Pickens, Hollywood Brown, Romeo Dubs, or Deion Jackson.
I'd go George Pickens. I'm not a George Pickens guy by any
Mhm.
means, but against the Las Vegas Raiders in decent weather, um, compared to some of these other options, Cam Akers has one of the lowest ceilings in the league at this point, and
Yeah.
and he's not really catching passes. Drake London is catching passes from Desmond Ritter. Hollywood Brown is catching passes from Trace McSorley. I think he's a little bit closer here with
Yeah.
Pickens.
Definitely.
I'm not trusting Dubs. Deion Jackson's in a timeshare. It is a good matchup for him, but like Kenny
Yeah.
Pickett's back, and Kenny Pickett has shown that his favorite target for the most part is George Pickens. So even though I'm not a George Pickens guy by any means, this season that is, I certainly lean him in this option here of all these guys.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like a process of elimination. Go by one and see who you hate the least. And George Pickens shines through that.
Yeah.
So yeah. Once more, I agree. Michael Shizzle, a couple of goats. Thank you. Thanks, fellas. Merry Christmas. Thank you for
Shout
tuning
out to
in. And
Shiz.
Merry Christmas.
Shout out to Shiz.
J Jeff in the other wide receiver spot, only one flex. Okay, yeah, this is from the early
Uh,
question.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good
yeah, you're
team.
not saying
He seems to
yeah,
have.
very good team. Big Will, sorry, Deion Jackson over either Singletary or Rashad White. Happy PR. I'd say yes.
You start Deion Jackson over those guys? Oh, over
Yeah,
either of them?
either. So like over Singletary.
Hmm. I I'd play Rashad White. Um, I think Deion Jackson's closer to Singletary, but in a game where they might need to rely on the run a little bit more, I do lean Singletary's way.
Mm,
But Deion Jackson, he has the good matchup against the Chargers,
correct.
and he could get involved in the passing game. We know he caught a 1 yard touchdown last week. I don't know. I wouldn't be able to start him over Singletary or White because we don't know what that rotation is going to look like. Zach Moss got the majority of the carries last week.
True.
So
True.
a little too risky for me in the semis to
Yeah, all
start him
three
over
are
those
in like
guys.
weird spots. All three
Yeah.
of those guys. So okay, yeah, like I would consider Jackson over Singletary, but something Mike said, like I would trust. Like, who do you feel better about starting? Going back to what we talked about earlier, like if
Rashad White
you
of those options of
no,
those
no, no,
three
I
or
think this is like a start too. No, like I was like exposing a hypothetical for Will. Like, who do
uh,
you as Will feel better about starting and like would be less upset about someone going off in your bench? Like if Deion Jackson goes off in your bench, like okay, yeah, he just came out of kind of nowhere, and Singletary and Rashad White made sense. So I wouldn't hate myself if I went Singletary and White, basically.
yeah, fair enough.
So yeah, that's just like how I answer my tougher ones, like emotionally. That's the analytics way. Charles, I saw Foreman in the bus fading him for AJ Dillon. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, full
Yeah.
PPR too, but yeah, like
I
AJ
full
Dillon has
PPR
that
even
upside.
gives Dylan even more of the edge. I'd go Dylan in standard too, like half PPR Dylan. I'd go Dylan.
Yeah, there you go, Charles. Especially with the brutal bust of the week. Garrett Irwin, Tennessee defense or Philly defense?
Oh, Tennessee, man. Tennessee gets Houston and Philly gets Dallas. I don't really want to start a defense against Dallas if there's a defense against Houston available. I know he's probably been riding Philly defense the
Yeah,
entire
yeah.
season. They've been one of
So
those
that's
teams where
why
you just keep them in your defense spot. And I don't hate the
Dallas and
idea of
Philly.
just trusting
Yeah.
them, but there's just on the surface, there's just way more of an opportunity for Tennessee defense to make some noise in
Mm.
this game.
Yeah. Good process of elimination. I have a thing where I'm very good at picking defenses, but like for no reason at all. I just like go to the waivers, pick one, and it goes off. Like it's just a talent I have. Well, anyway, yeah,
Cast
there
the
you go, Garrett.
defense connoisseur.
Yeah, for sure. I'm for sure are. Garrett Irwin, half PPR start one. Josh Palmer, Cortland Sutton, Chris Moore, Marquise Goodwin.
Good win for me.
Yeah, still.
Yeah, I like the upside of Goodwin more. Palmer with Allen and Mike Williams back is just a low end flex type of guy, like 4 yard catches and
Fair.
50 yards, like whatever. Chris Moore, not only is he like a game time decision, but Brandon Cooks is returning. I'm not trusting Cortland Sutton by any means in his first game back. So I think Marquise Goodwin. I'm chasing the shootout potential here with Marquise Goodwin against the Chiefs.
Yeah. I saw this.
Especially with sorry to
Yeah,
cut
go
you
ahead.
off, but like especially
No,
with
go ahead.
Tyler Lockett out, if the Chiefs
Right.
try to focus more on DK Metcalf as a focal point of trying to stop their passing attack, could open up more opportunities for Marquise Goodwin as well.
The field stretcher, Marquise Goodwin.
Yep.
It's actually a revenge game, like rivalry game between Geno
Ooh,
Smith and Travis Kelsey.
fun.
But yeah, so it is Marquise Goodwin. Garrett, good luck. Algier, Foreman, or Campbell. Don't slot over Hollywood in full PPR, right?
I'd play Hollywood
Oh,
in that
okay.
situation.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was just confused about the wording, but yeah, Algier I like, but not that much.
Yeah, I'd keep Hollywood in. It's not like Foreman and Campbell I wouldn't really consider, but Algier has some appeal as we mentioned earlier, but still in full PPR I'd stick with Hollywood because all he needs is 4 to 5 catches to match Algier's 40, 50 rushing yards, which he'll probably have
Espe-
to fight very
yeah,
hard for.
especially in full PPR. Especially in
Yeah.
full PPR. Henry Sicherak, or however you say that. Which two RBs should I start? Swift,
Czak.
Pacheco, Lat. It's Swift and Pacheco, right? Like, no doubt.
Swift and Pacheco for me. Yeah, I'm not gonna like. I just Latavius Murray against the Rams is not something I'm very interested in.
No,
I know
and
Latavius Murray
and
had that huge week last week, and people are scared to fade him now because of that. But I I wouldn't want to trust him in the semis if unless I was forced to.
right, yeah, yeah. Like we've talked about Swift, Pacheco. I don't think we've talked about, but I'm pretty sure he's a Broto sleeper this week for running back. So
Yeah,
that
and
that does count
Latavius
for
Murray
something.
like he missed practice Thursday. He returned on Friday and is expected to play, but it's not great to see that.
Hey, we're getting sex spots now in chat. Nice.
Heyo, that's how you know we're legit.
Yeah, just put that user in a timeout. All right. Yeah. Then you go, Henry. Good luck. Now we have start to Juju, Christian Watson, Ayuk. Ooh, Ayuk,
Juju and
no
Watson
Debo.
for me. Yeah,
Mm,
but I'm still starting Juju and Watson.
okay.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
I can't sit Juju in a shootout potential game. And you know how I feel about Juju
Absolutely.
already. He's over the last 2 weeks. I think he's caught 18 of his 19 targets. He's just really connecting with Patrick Mahomes right now. Um, and if you take out the game where he got injured early and the game where he returned and played limited snaps, like those games, I think are fogging people a little bit because like those were bad games and you likely had him in your lineup. But the games over the last like 5 or so full games that he's played, he's like you can't really sit him at this point. Um, and I'm not going to
True.
sit Christian Watson either for Ayuk. I know Ayuk has the appeal without Debo Samuel there, and he could catch. He could have a solid game. Like he's my wide receiver 22 on the week. I'm not saying fade Christian Ayuk, but if those are the three options, I am going to sit Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, like even look if you can sneak him into your flex because I do like Ayuk, especially without Debo. Cannot start him over those two right now, but if you can put him in your flex, depending on who you have, I think that's a very solid starting lineup.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Tim is complaining. Hey, I'm still in the Beat the Bros playoffs too. Put some respect on the name.
Ayo.
He has a question. Austin or Goldberg? I'm assuming Steve Austin.
Steve Austin or Goldberg wrestling style.
Yeah, of course. It's a full 3 count, right? Uh,
I mean,
gotta
Stone
go
Cold
Austin.
is
Yeah,
he's Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's Stone Cold Steve Austin.
yeah. Just like you can't sit him. You can't sit him
Goldberg's the
anymore.
man too, though. You know, when we were younger, Jason and I went. You know those claw games at like
Hmm.
carnivals and things like that.
Yeah,
We won like a heavy plastic Goldberg, and we brought it home, and we had a super heavy plastic Goldberg in our room for years, and we
nice.
would we would uh we would use this Goldberg. The only reason this Goldberg was even relevant in our lives is because we would keep it out because we would always use it. Like if Jason left the room, I'd stick it in his pillow and he'd go to lay down and he'd hit his head on Goldberg. And like he'd do the same to me. And we'd like hide Goldberg in places just to try to like hurt each other with a super heavy plastic Goldberg. I wonder where that
That's
Goldberg is
brain
now.
damage. Yeah.
I feel like it's in my childhood bedroom still, maybe in the closet or something. I have to go try to find this and send you a picture of this Goldberg when I'm gonna go to my parents' house for
Please do.
Christmas. So I will certainly search for Goldberg.
Please do.
So now I'm changing my vote to Goldberg.
Oh, okay. We disagree now because
Last minute
I can
switch.
say no to beer.
Fair
All
enough.
right. Charles Kearney. Having a lot of Hollywood exposure is scaring me. Don't blame you.
I'd
Full
be a little
PPR.
scared about that too.
Yeah. But then you see Hollywood dots on MVS or Chark. Need the most upside after a dud on Thursday.
Oof. I
Yeah.
mean,
Oof.
if this was a normal matchup for Washington, I'd say Jahan Dotson has the most upside. But against the San Francisco 49ers, like, how could you possibly trust a secondary option for Washington? It's very, very tough to trust Jahan Dotson, I think. I think he probably has the most upside here. MVS at this point, like, he's done nothing this season. Like, he hasn't
Well,
even
he
had a
had like a
single
two
game.
touchdown game, didn't he?
I don't think he has a 2 touchdown game this year. I could look it up, but like I don't think he has a single game over like 20 fantasy points or like 15
Mm.
fantasy points. He has 2 touchdowns the entire year.
Oh, yeah.
Only 2 games with a touchdown. Like he's never surpassed. Let's see, in half PPR, MVS has yet to surpass 13 and a half fantasy points. Like he hasn't had the upside you expect from an MVS type of guy. So I'm certainly not starting him. And then DJ Chark, it's a good matchup against Carolina. Not ideal that they're on the road, but DJ Chark did put up to 90 plus yards back to back games before playing the Jets, which is the Jets. Like you can't really like that's just how it is when you play the Jets. So I do lean DJ Chark here as the highest upside option. I think Hollywood's the safer. Hopefully, he catches 4 or
Yeah.
5
Okay.
balls, gets 50 yards or so, like 10 full PPR points. But I think DJ Chark has the upside to go 4 catches, 90 yards, and a touchdown, especially with Jameson Williams still not really making a big impact in the passing game. They're bringing him along slowly, which I don't blame
Yeah.
them, but that's how it is.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I was disagreeing with you until you said like Hollywood's safer. Chark is more boomy. I think that makes sense. uh, I don't
Like
know
I'd be
if I would
shocked if
still go
Hollywood
Chark,
had a
but
huge game with Trace McSorley at
yeah.
quarterback.
No. Yeah. That makes sense.
I
Like
think he'd have to
he's not
take
in for
like
a huge
a
game.
yeah, I think he'd have to take like a screen to the house or something of that sort.
But I think
Which
he's
isn't
decent,
impossible, but still.
and Chark scares me.
I don't blame you there. It's definitely the riskier pick. Lower floor and I think higher ceiling.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know the having a lot of Hollywood exposure angle also makes sense. So like, hey, if you just want to say Hollywood and start Chark for the upside, and to avoid getting killed by Hollywood everywhere, I don't blame you. So
Yeah.
I would still personally in a vacuum, like not looking at any of the leagues, start Hollywood over Chark. In this specific scenario, I don't blame you for starting Chark because, like Mike said, he has the upside, and just you're just avoiding crashing down on the same guy. So,
Yeah.
all right, another one from Henry. Who do you put in the flags? Full PPR: Darius Slayton, Marquise Brown, Jerry Judy. Merry Christmas. I would definitely start Merry Christmas here. I don't know about
Yeah,
you.
Merry Christmas has shown he could be very giving.
Very much so.
But honestly, actually, I'm gonna go I actually give Judy the edge here.
Ooh, interesting. Let me hear
Judy's
that.
been Judy's been very solid. I don't think I'd be able to sit him in this one.
With
Like
Russ back too, right?
with the Russ back, yeah. If it was Brett
Right.
Rippin, that would be a different story. But I don't think like Jerry Judy over the last 3 weeks, he went 4 for 65 against Baltimore, which isn't great, but then 8 for 73 and 3 touchdowns, 7 for 76 prior to that with Brett Rippin. The last time he played before getting injured, he went 6 for 63, 7 for 96. Like this is a guy who, although the Broncos offense has been atrocious this season, has been a very solid option. Besides the game he got injured, he's been a top 40 wide receiver in half PPR each of the last 4 weeks. Each of the last 6 games that he's played in. So I think he's safe and has a little bit of upside now with Russell Wilson returning and showing that he's building a better rapport with Judy to be a top 25-ish wide receiver option. I think he has a higher chance than Slayton does. Because I know we were discussing Slayton and we like his upside this week, but that was against players of lower appeal for me than Jerry Judy.
Right. I do like Slayton's matchup, but Judy with Russ is a different animal than Ripien. And as you can see in the ticker down below, we have breaking news because the Texans Titans game has been pushed back for by 1 hour to 2:02 Eastern time due to power outages in
Interesting.
the Tennessee area. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow. So that means everyone relying on 1 o'clock players going up against Derrick Henry is going to have to sit through 4 to 5 p.m. without their 1 o'clock players of Derrick Henry just destroying their fantasy teams. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
But more news. Officially active are Sammy Watkins, if you care about that.
Interesting.
Ken
Jeez,
Walker,
the Ravens.
DJ Dallas, Noah
Ken
Fant,
Walker's
and Marquise
active?
Goodwin. Yep.
Good to
The
know.
guy you dropped, right?
No,
Was
I
it you
dropped
or was
Travis
it?
Homer.
Oh, Travis Homer.
Yeah, because Yahoo lied to me. Actually, I have a good home league. The players remaining in the league said I could get Travis Homer back. So good
Nice.
people. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah,
But
good people.
either way, if Ken Walker plays him, now I'm starting Ken Walker. But yeah, Yahoo said in their blurb, Travis Homer cut after his fumble last week. So I was like, great. This guy I've been stashing as Walker's backup for weeks is cut. Now let me drop him to try to get, a different impactful player on my bench. And then like hours later, they just delete that blurb and they're like, oh, it was Tony Jones who
Oopsie.
got cut. It's like, oh, well,
Oopsie.
thanks for telling me now, you idiots. Especially
Uh,
semifinals week, but
yeah. So other actives are DJ Dallas, also Seahawks running back, Noah Fant, and Marquise Goodwin.
I do
We
think Noah
discussed Marquise
Fant.
Goodwin.
I think Noah Fant
Yeah.
has some low key upside in this one. Like who was it that asked about the my Greek friend? I can't
Let me
scroll
just
back
look it
that
up.
far. It looks like if he's still listening, I'd play Noah Fant over Njoku and McBride very easily. I think Noah Fant has
Oh
some
yeah.
shady upside against Casey.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I agree.
yeah, if you guys are still listening, we still got like 15 minutes to answer questions. So if you got any last minute questions, hit us up in the chat. But Cass, I have a question for you because
Ooh, go ahead.
I have obviously in the home league, I am in the semifinals. So I got two
Yep.
questions for you actually.
Okay.
I'm starting Baltimore defense over Cleveland. Do you say
Yeah.
yay or nay to
Hmm.
that one?
That one's tough
Baltimore
because
against Desmond Ritter and the Falcons, or Cleveland
or
in the
Cleveland in
really
the
bad
worst
weather
weather game
game?
possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I'm
would still
just
go Baltimore.
Yeah, my fear is that it's a really bad weather game, so there's a chance they keep the points low, which helps. But there's also a chance they're just playing rush defense, and there's not really many turnovers
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
that game. But so that's why I'm giving a slight edge to Baltimore in my mind.
I agree. I think.
And then the other one, I currently have Zach Moss in my flex spot. It's
Okay.
Zach Moss, Cordell Patterson, and Deontay Foreman.
Hmm. Patterson is interesting to me in this situation. We talked about the bad weather and stuff.
Yeah.
Zach Moss, like you've said, that he's probably gonna carry the workload. You have some pretty strong beliefs there, and I don't blame you for starting him. But yeah, I guess because
I just think he
Patterson
has a better
relies more on
shot.
the.
I
Yep.
just think Matt Moss has a better shot to fall into the end zone than Patterson does against the Chargers compared to Patterson against the Ravens in a very
True, we just
low
talked about Ravens defense and,
game.
and, and the Chargers offense. Sorry, Chargers defense against running backs is not good, like in
Yeah.
general. So yeah, okay, I don't blame you. Zach Moss is the start, and I don't know who the third guy was, but I was not considering him.
Yeah, Deontay Foreman, I'm not
Yeah,
particularly considering.
not this week, no. So yeah, I guess Moss is the option there.
Yeah. We got ourselves a new
Interesting.
question.
Okay, we have Steve asking Pacheco Swift, Rashad White start too. Uh, done clear on the format. I'm assuming half since it's like the standard nowadays.
Yeah.
Swift and Pacheco, right? I think we got
I'm
a similar one
definitely.
earlier.
I think I'm definitely playing Pacheco. Um, I'm gonna play Pacheco, and then Swift and Rashad White very close. Um, I think Swift has a little bit more upside, but I do think Rashad White is
Yeah,
probably the
yeah,
the safer option. So it depends on your level of fear and risk in this one. It's definitely Pacheco, and then Swift is Swift has higher upside, but Rashad White also. I think Rashad
he's
White
half
has,
PPR by the way.
if he gets 20 rushes because they're playing Arizona, he could have a very solid game. But then you also don't know if Leonard Fournette is going to steal the touchdowns. Like that's the issue with that. But that's the same issue with DeAndre Swift. It's just that the DeAndre Swift is better than Rashad White is. So
Yeah, he most certainly is. So that's why I just went Pacheco and Swift. Uh, I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm sticking with that. So yeah,
hit us with the
there you go,
next
Steve.
question, Cass.
Steve has another question. Waller or Goddard? Would you start either over Pittman? Oh, so is it just regular? Is this tight end premium stuff or?
Uh, Looks he said half in the next comment, so assume half
Yeah, but I
PPR.
was answering like the first because I asked scoring
Uh,
format and then I think
it's
he
probably
answered
the
half.
same league or a similar league.
Okay. Okay.
So Michael Pittman gets the Chargers with Nick Foles at quarterback, but I'm not sitting Michael Pittman for a tight end.
No,
Um,
no. If it's not tight end premium, no. And
but
Goddard
between
with like Minshew.
yeah, and then Waller, yeah, same league. Okay, makes sense. I give the slight edge to Waller just because he is a week removed from returning. This is Goddard's first game back from returning. We saw the um the limitations Waller had upon his return. I would not be shocked if we see a similar limitations for Dallas Goddard.
Yeah.
I'd still play Dallas Goddard if I have him over like the secondary tight end options like the Dawson Knoxes and company. But I I'd start Waller and Pittman in this one.
Wait. Okay. I see. I didn't understand the way the
It's a
question was
choose
worded.
two of three type of question.
Yeah. It's like pick a tight end and then will you start the second one over this guy? But yeah, no.
Yeah,
Okay, so it's Waller and Pittman, right?
yeah.
Yeah. I agree. Okay, so now I have one question for you.
Oh yeah, hit me, Cass.
I'm not gonna tell you which league this is from, because I don't want that to change your perception. But it's pick two of Joshua Palmer, DJ Chark, or Donovan Peoples Jones with their respective matchups and shit.
I'd sit Donovan Peoples Jones because of the weather.
Mm, yeah, yeah.
I'm not a
That's the
Josh
way I had
Palmer
it right now,
guy,
but
but
yeah, Josh Palmer just scares me, man, this week.
I don't blame you. But I can't sit him over. I mean, I can't start him over those two options who are in better spots.
Or Josh Reynolds.
No, Josh Reynolds.
See,
Ever
this
since he
that's where
returned
I'm
from
at.
injury, he kind of like lost his spot to Khalif Raymond and company, Jameson Williams, DJ Chark.
Yeah, yeah. So that's me. Steve says, "Thanks, boys. Merry Christmas." My questions are boring now. Like,
Merry Christmas, Steve. Thanks for listening.
yeah. Thank you for listening. Everybody that tuned in today, thank you for that. Merry Christmas and happy holidays. I see the followers are trickling down, so I'm just gonna give
Oh, you got 10 minutes
5 minutes left.
less.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I do have
log
a 10 minutes
into.
left.
I'm gonna see if there's any surprising news happening, or if we're on top of all the news. You know, sometimes if we're recording, you miss the news, but you actually had the breaking news come in with the what was it? What was the
It was
breaking
the
news?
game and
Yeah, and
the
Ken
inactives
Walker
and
returning and
actives.
such. Yeah.
Yeah, I I follow Adam Schefter the day before crunch time. I just turn the notifications on just in case,
Ah, nice.
and then unfollow him after the show's done. Because what's the point? Um, but yeah, that's part of my prep, following and turning on sleeper notifications just so I'm on top of shit.
Sleeper
Oh,
notifications kind of piss me off because they give you that like little like one line
yeah.
and you're like, oh, I gotta click on this to see what it is, and then you see all those annoying ass comments underneath it. I'm like, I
Those
don't want to
suck.
see this.
Those are terrible. We do.
People are
We've
in there
been.
like
Yeah.
first and shit like that. Like, bro, you're in a sleeper chat. What are you doing? Who cares if you're first? Like, come on,
Yeah,
man.
it's the highlight of their Saturday, man. Also, like inactives
Probably
is
is.
we kind of knew, but Chase Claypool is not playing, and Kenyon Drake.
Ramondre Stevenson is active. Brandon Cooks is officially active. Um, Traylon Burks is active, but he's basically not trustworthy at all
Yeah, no, not without
with
Tannehill.
Malik Willis at quarterback. You can't really trust any Tennessee pass catchers.
No,
Damian Harris is inactive, which means Ramondre Stevenson is probably a
it's
full
gonna be
go.
nice. Yeah, it's gonna be
Um,
nice.
DJ Dallas is active. Derrick Henry. Oh, the game is postponed an hour. That's pretty. I didn't even know that game was like. Oh
I mean,
wow.
just Tennessee doesn't
The
have the
reason
infrastructure.
that's
There's power
because of
outages, right?
blackouts around the
Yeah,
city. Interesting. I thought it was like thunder or something like that. Nope.
but I mean,
That's
it's probably
interesting.
weather-produced blackouts, right? Like they don't have the infrastructure to handle 2
Maybe.
inches of snow, and
Yeah, throwing shade, but yeah. Tyler
I
Huntley's
mean,
officially active. Ken Walker is active. Ken Walker is look, I maybe could get really screwed over on Ken Walker this week because I have him ranked as like my RB12, way higher than
mm,
others. Like he missed every practice this week, but I'm like, bro, the Seahawks, he didn't practice the previous week, and then the Seahawks put him out there for 70% of the snaps,
yeah,
and he played a ton. So I'm like, why am I going to be scared this week for Ken Walker in a shootout when he did the
but it's
same thing
probably the
last
same
week
thing.
and played a
Yeah,
ton in like shootout potential type game? So yeah, I'm trusting Ken Walker this week to either my detriment or to make me very happy in about 4 hours when we know the results of the Ken Walker um, production. But
mm,
I guess we'll see because I know there's a lot of people who I've seen a lot of like if you have an alternative for Ken Walker, use the alternative. And I'm not on that bandwagon.
and what would be an alternative? Like, because I guess that criteria does matter, right? What do you consider an alternative that you would like sit Ken Walker for, or just like
Fair
nah?
enough. Like if I maybe like Jarek McKinnon. That's a high
Mm,
possibility you have McKinnon instead of Walker. I'd play McKinnon. I think that makes sense. Or like Raheem Mostert if you want to go for safety, Isaiah Pacheco type of guy. But if you're choosing between like Ken Walker or the AJ Dillon, Rashad White, Zach Moss, Devin Singletary area, I'm going Ken Walker 1,000 times out of 1,000.
yeah,
Do
yeah,
you
that makes
disagree,
sense.
or are you rolling with
No,
Walker in that situation as well?
I do like Walker, and I don't know how I feel about the game. It's wait, where are they playing? In Seattle or?
They are playing at KC. It's going to
Mm,
be freezing temperatures, but the wind isn't
but no
supposed to
wind.
be too big of a
Okay,
factor. The wind's going to be like 15 miles per hour ish, but
normal.
like the wind really isn't much of a factor until it gets above like 20 in NFL games.
Right, right. And cold is cold, so should be okay. And yeah, so definitely, I'm okay with going with Ken Walker. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, Cass. I'm
Right.
also Jason texted me like
Oh,
you're wild starting Jacoby Myers, Ken Walker, and Zach Moss in the same lineup. You think I'm a little wild trusting all those questionable type players? My team is very
Jacoby
good,
is the flimsiest, I
but
think.
I have like my home league lineup that was first in points and first overall. Patrick Mahomes, Garrett Wilson, Jamar Chase, Jacoby Myers, Josh Jacobs, Ken Walker, Travis Kelsey, and Zach Moss.
Mm.
So I have a lot of
Yeah, I don't
star
hate it.
power. I
Yeah, yeah,
also
yeah.
had
You have a
Cooper
lot of
Cup.
stars.
I had Cooper Cup on the damn roster, but I lost Cooper
Damn.
Cup. But yeah. Um I I just said screw it. I mean it's a semifinals. I'm not gonna play it safe. I'm not gonna start someone like Deontay
That's the
Foreman.
spirit. That's the
Yeah.
spirit.
So screw
Yeah,
it.
yeah, I like
Let's
that.
see.
Like rosters look ugly as hell usually. When it gets to, like semifinals and stuff, because
Yeah.
brother, like I was debating Joshua Palmer and Donald Peoples Jones. That's ugly as hell too. Let's
Yeah.
see if I have any other pressing issues in my top leagues, because I'm honestly not sure. I think there's one that I lost already. Oh yeah,
In another league, um,
yeah.
I'm starting Darius Slayton and Zach Moss over Deontay Foreman and Tyler Algier. So putting my money
Mm,
where my mouth is when it comes to sitting
nice.
Algier in this one.
Yeah. So for this one, I have I had Jonathan Taylor, which whoops.
Because I'm the
Uh,
tailor.
and
That's a rough
now
one, Jonathan
I
Taylor.
had Tyler Conklin and the Jets D on Thursday, so
Oof.
not a lot of help. But hopefully we can pull it off. I don't think I have any
How many
big
points did Jets D
pressing.
end up putting up? Like 3 or 4?
Four, yeah. So
4. Yeah,
not
I know they
terrible.
had a. I know they had a few sacks. The strip sack, dude. Because I was at the game. Um,
Oh,
bro,
they
the
don't.
weather was not nearly as bad as people said it was going to be. Like
Hmm.
everyone was like, "Yeah, the weather is going to suck," and you
Yeah.
know, the offenses are going to suck, bro. The weather was not nearly as bad. Like there was some wind coming every now and then, but like I
Yeah.
hardly felt
Yeah.
wind sitting in the stands. It only rained in like the second quarter. Zach Wilson live was one of the worst QB performances I've ever seen in my life, bro. It was the last 3 games that I've gone to was the Sam Darnold seeing ghosts game,
Oof.
the Mike White crazy game against Cincinnati that we won last year, and now the Zach Wilson benching of Chris Strevler. So every single time I go to a Jets game, there's a crazy thing
Wow.
happening at the quarterback
Yeah.
position.
Awesome. You
Yeah,
bring that energy. Yeah.
yeah,
So in
it
this other
was.
league, I did start Zach Wilson.
Hmm,
So
that's
that was
not good.
fun.
Oh.
And Tyler Conklin. And then in my third league, I'm going through my NFL app leagues.
I've had one team ever on the NFL app, and I was not a fan.
It's not great, but I have a couple of friends that only play there, so I just have to adapt. Anyway, in the other one, I
Fair
had Evan
enough.
Engram. So my guy Evan Engram, who I've
Ayo.
been riding.
Yeah,
It's about
that's clutch.
yeah. I mean, he has been my guy this season and has delivered. Like it was
Yeah.
first Hayden Hurst with one of the boom games, and then Evan Engram a couple games ago, and he just like went off from there. Like 3 weeks in a row now, I think, where he just goes off, and so yeah, I'm looking pretty good. Like
Yeah.
no complaints. Because I do have one. Like for my flags, I have Pollard, Zeke, or Jamal Williams,
Pollard. There's no way I'm
or
sitting Pollard.
Chris Godwin. But yeah, like I have
Pollard
Pollard in
still.
right now.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's tough though. But yeah, Pollard. Between
yeah, yeah.
Pollard and Godwin is closer, but yeah, Cass, this has been fun. My first crunch time
It
of
has.
the year
Yeah,
in week
yeah,
16.
yeah.
Thank you everybody
Good
for
stuff.
watching, and best of luck in the semifinals, guys. And hopefully you're back next week for the last crunch time of the season for championship weekend.
We'll be waiting for you. Here's a sneak peek. Whoops. We'll be waiting for all the Brodo followers of Bro Loyal. I'm sure you'll make it to the finals, so we'll be here as always. And for now, we bid you adieu and good luck.
Yeah.
So.
Good luck to you as well, Cass. Later.